Hey, hello again. Nice to meet you again. Well, I don't meet you, but you meet me. My brief video is about what were the competencies that we were developing during the hike and what did they saw in your team. There were several competencies that I was focusing attention. One is to focus on common goals and collaboration, initiative, responsibility in execution, planning and decision making, learning from experience and reflection, how did we do, and the relation, openness and trust. And each of the tasks that you were succeeding was built on the mix of those competences that we needed. So what did they saw? From the very beginning, probably from the most important, is focusing on the common goals. It was wonderful to see in that crocodile river, whatever was it, how quickly you changed from the competition, our versus their team, into okay, we are one team. That was wonderful. It was good to see in the fifth, it was about the silent walk, how you could connect each other and feel. Seems like you were moving in the silence like one entity. Great. And the eighth, on the slack line, you moved very quickly all together. That was like kind of a common goal. Let's move quickly. But on the sixth, on the blind triangles, remember, you were split into 3 projects. That's in your reality, and you state in the projects. My project is done, our triangle is done. We do not go to other projects. That's a little bit our boundaries not cooperating. But on the other hand, I see that there is a lot of very warm communication, very warm openness, open relation in the team. So probably there is common feeling we are like one team. Maybe just the space, the process of cooperation on achieving common goals, sharing information, helping each other is needed. On the personal level, everything's brilliant on that. What they needed lacked a little bit in the swamp. It still was an individual hero competition. I'm moving forward. Either you're in the end or in the front. Still, there was no planning together. How can we help each other? How can we move all together? I had to stop you. Guys in the front, wait for the guys or girls in the end to come up. Those that were on the ground, they could help, didn't they? Couldn't they? Yes. So, not solo, but all together, that would be wonderful. And the spider web, the task was, how can we unite together against impossible challenge? That sometimes happens in business, that happens in team building. It is impossible. That's a natural reaction of most of the groups. The question is, do we unite and say, no, we don't do it? Or do we say, wow, we don't know how, but let's think together? That's what they lacked in the moment. Let's think. But we'll come back to this task a little bit later. So, in general, lots of cooperation in personal, in relational level, lack of the space and the processes when we speak about business. Initiative. Why nobody asked about the spoons and pencils? There was no initiative to ask. You were talking, shall we go to the swamp? Nobody asked me. There were almost no questions in the task. How shall we do it? What's allowed, what's not? I was missing the initiative. What I saw a lot is that you were kind of following instructions and following your processes when you discover something. For example, in spiderweb, when you discovered the process, let's take and move the person through the holes on spiderweb like this, you just move very quickly. Execution is effective, but initiative is the thing that I lack a little bit. For example, again, in those triangles, there could be your initiative that you say, hey, we did our project, let's go to theirs. Let's go and check how they are doing. At least, let's go and ask and see, or maybe offer some help. That was needed. The same in swamp. There could be some more initiative. Taking a stick, hey, I can help you. Let's move on. Then, the third competence about responsibility and execution. Well, you are very responsible. Really. Silence. Probably the first group that used no word. You never stepped back all those 50 or 40 steps. Wonderful. You took all the pencil, spoons, those have a little difference, the little details. But in the details, we can see the general behavior. So it seems that your team's behavior on execution, it is strong. When you know how to do it, when you know what to do it, you just go and follow. That's wonderful. On the other hand, what's my concern? What's important, either the goal or the KPI? For example, in the spider web, your argument was that according to the point system, it's not worth doing it. But didn't you miss the goal? What was the goal of the day? Uniting, meeting, learning, overcoming challenges together. But sometimes in business it happens the same. People lose a general view, a general goal, focusing just on KPIs. Maybe some project or an action with a client, it's not profitable and it doesn't bring extra KPIs. But if we do it, it would move us towards the goal. Very good relation with the client. Maybe same in the company. On the KPIs, responsibilities and projects, I don't have to do this task. That's not my job. But when we look at the general, our task, our dream, our goal is this. And then I step out of the KPIs, point system, responsibilities, and then move a little bit more, do some extra, not giving up. So this is about execution. On one hand, strong execution. On the other hand, some extra mile seems to be needed. And extra mile and maybe a little bit lack of speed. You were running, you're very high performers, but don't you sometimes miss something while running? Running to the next task, next project. You had really strong competence of the self-reflection, really. You know how to do it. You stopped after the task, analyzed what was good, what should be done differently, even from after the first task. Remember about the food collection. Even the task was not finished yet, you already started analyzing. It was chaotic, we didn't split responsibilities, we didn't plan, how shall we do it next time? And really, next time you did it differently, you learn fast. After the first task, about the food, when some point on the way you started, after my feedback, that you were not asking questions, you already started asking the questions, will we need the water? Will we need the watermelons? No? Okay, so we leave it. So you change your behavior. I remember same in the spider web, even though you had very low motivation to do it, okay, let's do it. Still, you started doing. First of all, you did not reflect the mistake. You tried to put one person through the hole, didn't succeed. No, it's impossible. But then when you started doing, okay, we did, what was the mistake? We have to hold like this, and you learn. So, reflection, I don't know, do you have it as a competence in your team or do you lack it? I think, that's my guess, I think that in general you have the competence to self-reflect, to analyze, and to learn from the mistakes and from successes, but sometimes probably from the rush, from running forward, you just don't use your time to stop and think, what can we do differently? Is my guess right? I don't know. I just saw you for one day. Those all are my guesses from what I saw. Then, second competence. Are you still with me? You can't answer anyway. Why do we ask? So, my next competence is about planning and decision making. That's strong, that's wonderful. Basically, in all, except the first task, when you were still lost because you just came to the team building and didn't orient well. But when you oriented and understood how everything is organized, your planning is strong. Blind triangles, wonderful. All the groups were planning, listening to ideas, testing the models and implementing. Good. What I think about the planning decision making is about the meeting effectiveness. Do you have an effective meeting process? Effective facilitation skills? In general, you can plan, but usually what I saw, you do it in little groups of 2 or 3 or 5 is still fine. But when there are 18, it's either chaotic, either again you split into fragments, into little groups to smaller discussions. Either everybody starts speaking. What I suppose is if you implement several working facilitation methods to include people, to ensure that everybody has a space and the process to speak up, to be listened and to plan and to structurize the meeting, then in general your skill of planning, cooperation, helping each other, supporting would be fully implemented. So let's think about what techniques of meeting facilitation you could install in your general meetings. And by the way, good tip is that meetings should be run not by managers, but by team members. And the roles should be changing. These few months I run the meeting, then you take over, and at least several of team members can be very good meeting facilitators. Well, what else? Learning from experience, reflection. Wonderful, already told it. And the final, what was wonderful, to see your openness, your trust, and your relation. Really, at the personal level, seems you're so united. Again, from the little details, as humor, it was subtle, a little bit biting, but it's biting with love. How you interact, how you talk, and how you touch each other, how you go deeper into the conversation according to the cards or whatever it happens. This is nice, really. So the relation is wonderful, at least what I saw from that day. Maybe what you lack is some processes. How can you implement your desire to support each other? What are the common goals or common procedures to support, to learn? Maybe some time to stop and to reflect and to learn, and maybe a bit more initiative. I just don't follow my procedures, my work, my project, but doing the extra mile. So seems motivation is high, but implement it, do it in some really, making some extra steps. That's my general impression. Anyway, this is the file of my analysis from what I saw and we discussed with Jokubas. This is our general agreement, so I send it to you. If you want to look through, this is very brief. If you have some questions, comments, let's discuss. Please come back to me with the questions, comments, or whatever comes up, or some reflections. Good luck being a great team. Bye.